Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Desiree with Becoming Ramirez podcast. First and foremost, thank you. I've been getting tons of DMs coming through. I received some alerts from the Anchor app that you guys have sent in voice messages. I mean, the love and support from episode 1 is so greatly appreciated. I mean, I really was a ball of nerves. If you guys play that episode back, you'll notice I said I was 25 in that episode. So here's some behind the scenes juice. I actually recorded that episode when we first moved to Redlands in 2018. So at the time, it was about March, and I was 25 years old, and I was heavily involved in my church. And I already had started pre-recording these episodes, ready to launch them last year. And you know what? I stalled on it because I had some fear, I had some doubts. I wasn't really ready to deep dive into sharing the journey publicly. So I put it on the back burner for some time, and friends, close friends, and my husband kept telling me, when are you gonna launch your podcast? When are you gonna launch it? You're sitting on episodes. What are you holding back from? And I didn't know the direct answer at that time. As the months projected, and now here we are in 2019, and I'm airing these episodes with all of you. I really, really love that I waited, because that 9 to 10 month gap of waiting was that restoration phase where I felt that I met my best fruition in Becoming Ramirez. So I think it was the best time now in 2019 to share it. So thank you for that, you guys. Thank you for being attentive to all the details and noticing that. But yep, it's 2019. It's January. I'm 26. We're living in Laverne now. And the episode's moving forward from episode 2 today, which is called The Aftermath. We're going to deep dive into a lot of stuff now into 2019 as we transition into something pretty spectacular, because this is my first guest ever on the show. So I just want to take a second to introduce you guys to my good, dope, best friend from college, my road dog, Derrick Wilson. Come on, boy.
Hey, what's up? Thank you for having me. I appreciate you. And I do want to say I'm very proud of you, and sharing your story and the vulnerability that you share and you want people to also have. It's very, very remarkable. And
Thank you.
I first want to say that, first off.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. It's still unreal. It's still it's new. It's wet cement, or maybe it's even the blueprints.
Or that ice cream cone you're talking about. When, everybody has it. Mm-hmm. Everybody wants to be a strong person.
Yep.
Everybody doesn't want to share their vulnerability. And I think that's almost admired more for people to act like I'm strong. Like, everybody posts positive things on Instagram. Nobody sits back and says, when wasn't I positive?
Come on.
When wasn't I, not feeling myself as much as I'm feeling myself when I get likes?
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think it's important for people to be vulnerable enough to share, but also take moments for themselves to figure out their vulnerability as well by themselves.
For sure. That's that whole self-healing stage that I was kind of mentioning really lightly in episode 1. Right now you mentioned about the ice cream cone, and just real quick to put backing towards this friendship you and I have. Derrick and I met in college. We went to Cal State San Bernardino, and we met. There were coyotes.
Hey.
Coyotes.
What is it? Is it
I think it was. I don't know. I never went to a basketball game. I don't know. I think it was.
We were commuters.
Hello. We took a picture with the wrong mascot, a teddy bear. Remember that?
Who was that? Somebody.
We took a picture with a teddy bear, and our mascot is a coyote.
That's fucking. Were we punked or some shit?
I don't know.
He was wearing CSU USB.
Yeah, so I was like, they got another mascot. They
It's
do,
right.
And I posted that, and I was so proud. Like, we were proud.
I'm
Cal
still
State.
proud.
Yep. I mean,
I was
it was
a little
our
thinner
mascot.
back then, so I'm still proud.
I know. I'm
dumb and and in shape, but hey, still looking good. You know what I'm saying? Ladies, no.
funny. To add some premise, me and Derrick met about 6 years ago, maybe even 7 years ago. We were sophomores at Cal State San Bernardino, and I don't know what class we met in, but it was a class, because I remember going, man, that's that guy from 101. That's Skeeter. That's Cousin Skeeter.
I was like, nah, just Derrick.
Like, real talk. everybody thought you were Inez. Like, everybody on campus would walk and stare at you thinking you're that guy that everyone grew up watching on Nickelodeon.
It's sad because it's a sure disappointment when they find out I'm not.
Yeah, it took me like the whole quarter to finally go, what's your name? And you're like, Derrick. And I was like, yeah, that ain't him. That ain't him. I just saw a boy with green eyes, light skin, and I was like,
black guy, green eyes.
He looked like him a bit. Yeah, so we met in college, and we both were in the field of communications. And I think from there on out, a lot of our classes, once you start rolling with your comms, what do they call it? The path or career path or something like that. Once you start rolling with it, you kind of find yourself ending up in the classrooms again and again and again. And me and Derrick, from our sophomore year to our senior year, we kind of kept bumping into each other every other quarter. And then from there, we just naturally we vibed because we would just crack up at the same stuff. We had the same sense of humor, a lot of similarities in our family background, and we just clicked and we became really good buddies. And all throughout college, like when I needed a friend, I needed someone to talk to and go deep with and be vulnerable and not feel judged, I went to my boy right here. Like I went to Derrick, and in between our breaks, like we would have the most deepest conversations. And now that I think back on it, we were 19 and 20 talking about like intense stuff, like some really intense things. And wow, like I want to tell that Derrick, like that 20-year-old Derrick, that 21-year-old Derrick, like thank you for being able to go there on those conversations with me. Because if 19-year-old, 21-year-old Desiree didn't have that friendship with someone who was of the opposite sex, the wisdom and the knowledge that I received through that friendship wouldn't have been able to happen.
Agreed.
Like 100%.
Strong.
Yeah, man. This is how I am. Welcome to the show.
Let's go. And I appreciate you for saying that, because if you recall or be a witness of your past, you could really be like, wow, I've come so far from where I was at, and how maybe even confused or lost I was at the point that I was at. And now look at me, and if you're grateful for any experiences that you've had, you're appreciative. And I appreciate you for still being in my life, even from then to now. And it's like nothing ever changed.
Yeah, I love that. Cool. I'm so grateful for that. And so episode number 1, called The Manifesto, that many of you got the chance to listen to. If there's anybody that I'm allowed to break that down on the air where everybody's going to be able to hear it, is going to be my boy Derrick. He has my respect. So he's going to basically unpack some of the things that pierced his heart while he listened to it. And I'm pretty nervous because he used to do journalism and podcasts and everything in college. So
it's all love.
It's all love. All right, let's do this.
Again, like I said, very proud of you. Podcast is great. But judging by your title alone, Becoming Ramirez, do you feel like you left your old self behind while being who you've become? You know what I mean? Because I know Desiree Contreras. You know what I mean? So when I first seen it, when I first was hearing it, it seemed like, wait a minute. So as a friend of yours, I just felt like, but you're not forgetting that Desiree Contreras made Desiree Ramirez, right? Just asking. Like, what's your take?
That's so deep. I'm having conflicted issues right now inside. It would be a shame and a disappointment to not give credit to Desiree Contreras. That's just blasphemy to not give credit to her, and then to only empower Desiree Ramirez. My answer to that is, there's always hot and there's cold. There's black and there's white. There's skinny and then there's fat. There's square and there's circle, or whatever the heck. Yeah. There's always this or that. That gray area, that middle area, that warm area, that in-between area, that middle ground, I had to live in it for 2 years and stop trying to play tug-of-war with Contreras versus Ramirez. So while living in that middle ground and being a first-year wife to someone I've always looked up to and admired, and now I'm like, this is the man I married, that middle ground, Desiree Contreras and Desiree Ramirez duked it out. They really did. I was feeling like I was having bipolar episodes. I was feeling like I had split personalities. I would literally have like the old school Desiree Contreras on one shoulder, Desiree Ramirez on the other, and I would approach situations and go, well, what would Desiree Contreras do? Oh, well, what would Desiree Ramirez do? And it was so tiring. It was so tiring because I was like, all these areas are me. And all of it makes up the character that I am today, the person I choose to be and who I will evolve, because one day there'll be a Desiree Ramirez and maybe, I don't know, something else added on to that, whether it be just the way I look or whatever projects I choose to take on. I'm always going to be evolving, so I will be honest and say I did my best to forget about Desiree Contreras. I did my utmost best to erase her completely.
Wow.
And to
Wow, that's deep.
It was deep, and it was
deep.
dark. It was really dark.
Is that because you felt like she was the thing that was holding you back, or like what? I just, I know there's a thing about conjugative therapy, and you think about it. There's the person you put out there, and there's the person in the back of your head.
Yeah.
So I don't think that ever goes away.
No, for sure.
So we can't erase it, but I think that's why and I love your message of becoming Wilson, becoming Ramirez, because it's not really about the changing of your name. It's just becoming yourself.
Evolving
yourself, evolving who you are in that moment or in a future tense, or being a pioneer of your own future, whatever it is, but know that, you're still there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not something that you can erase. That's what I'm saying. And both are great. You know what I mean? Both are strong.
Right.
Both of them, but it's just that enemy that we all have still in the back of our head that talks to us every day. That, that's who you either need to silence or have a talk with, to be honest.
Right. That's when you have to allow both of those identities to coexist, because they make the person who's in front of you.
Exactly.
Yeah, man, I just realized something. I don't have a lot of friends still in my life that knew Desiree before becoming Ramirez.
Wow.
I probably have about 3.
I'm just one of those people who never...
I can't... Go home, Roger. Go home.
Go home, Roger.
You always around. Go home.
People be like, I was bringing that shit up from high school. People be like, Derrick, did you ever grow up? I swear to God, I did, but I don't forget anything,
Dang, man, people can't kick you. They can't.
I know. I stick around. Yeah, go home, Roger. Go home, Derrick.
That's going to be
You suck, Mr. Wilson. So sorry for still being around. Straight up.
You're good, man.
Straight up.
I'm so glad you're still around. So thank you for being a part of this 7-year journey.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. There's 2 types of people, and we talked about it earlier.
Yeah.
There's 2 types of people. There's one type of person who is very vulnerable, very cool with, finding a group and finding people to talk to. And then there's another person who, sometimes could be an introvert and would rather kind of deal with themselves. So I know you said vulnerability is sharing with others, but like, do you think that vulnerability could also be being vulnerable with yourself? You know what I mean?
You're asking me, if you can be vulnerable with others, can you do it with your own self?
Right. Or it's like, you know what I mean? Because you were saying strength and sharing, but like there is strength in going through your own trials and figuring it out. And I'm just talking for anybody out there who is that type of person, because we're all different. You know what I mean? And I love the fact that you can do that, and I'm feeling vulnerable right now because I'm talking. I'm out here talking. I'm just sharing, But at the end of the day, I don't, I don't share like that. And it's I guess people say like it's a girly thing to be in your feelings or something, or people like. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's being a human being and being in touch with your soul and being able to talk about shit and not be so surface. Everybody's so surface these days. You know that. Know that. People are just, they want to be who they are in front of you, and then behind in their brain, in the back of their heads, some shit's going on. So
yeah, it's really sad, huh? Think about it. It's really sad that there are people like that. And right now that you just brought it up, strength in sharing. This is gonna get deep. I'm going there. I'm gonna go there. You're still in LA. We lived in LA. So you know what I'm talking about when we say there's very surface people in Los Angeles. And they wear the mask. I touched on that on episode 1.
Yep.
Now, vulnerably, like, for the record, in 2016, I was making the most money I ever had. I had my dream career. I was living in Los Angeles. I dropped 20 pounds and I was looking bomb.com, man. I was living it and I was embracing it. And I never got deep with nobody out there. I was like, I'm here to do this career. I'm here to win it, look the part, and deliver, and get some more. Because at the time, Ricardo and I hadn't got engaged yet, and I was mentally in 2016. I was 23, gonna turn 24 or so. And what was going on in my head is, you worked so hard in college. Don't F this up. Don't get close to anybody. Don't get intentional with anybody. You're out here to play the game. You're out here to make that money, get this career going. You and your fiance, or at the time boyfriend, become engaged. And then the next step is get married and have babies. It's been 3 years since then. That's not how the game went down. And we're all kind of witnessing it now through this episode. And then they can reflect back on all the images that I've left up on my social media. But when I chose, like I said in episode 1, when I chose to confess out my mouth during the journey of healing, saying, I myself are a victim of sexual assault, but I choose not to be defined by it. Right. As soon as it came out of my mouth, I had to repeat it like a mantra. Like, you ever seen Tina Turner? Tina Turner, when she would like say that mantra before she would get on stage and stuff like that? I literally had that mantra. I'm like, because it happened to me will not define me. It'll strengthen me. And I would just tell myself this over and over. And the more I started to manifest it from words and into my mind and into my body and my spirit, I then realized that sharing is so therapeutic. Sharing is so cathartic for some individuals. Now, oversharing, I experienced that as well. I disclosed a lot about my assault to people who came into my life at a very vulnerable season, into both of our lives, mine and Ricardo's, at a very vulnerable season, and full disclosed everything. And while we thought they were going to ride these hiccups with us, they vanished. And when things got weird or uncomfortable or icky, those people made a left turn while me and him were still driving straight. And we turn around, look in the back seat, like, where are people at that we just shared, like, we're a hot mess in this relationship, we're engaged, we're getting married, we're going to court, we're going to face this guy, we're going to keep seeing the doctors, we're going to keep going back and forth to the police stations. And we turn over and look over that back seat to everybody that was riding with us, and it was empty. Right. And that's when I started going through another season of depression. And I was like, sharing is bullshit. Like, here we are pouring our hearts out to everybody, like, they're like, we want to be here for you.
But you are sharing with Ricardo.
Oh, yeah.
That's why my other question about was finding somebody to love make better for your own self-love, which is great. You know what I mean? I think that's great. I think that was your person to talk to.
Yeah. He's my best friend.
At the end of the day. So it makes you more comfortable to, I would think, be vocal with everyone else. But like you were saying, that's why you got to be prepared, and you got to be, weary about people, because you can share all you want with them, but a lot of people will take what you say and use it against you later.
Oh, yeah. And
act like they support you and everything else, but then all of a sudden, where you at?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The back seat's empty. Who was riding with you?
Yeah.
Yeah. That
I
happens.
agree with that 100%.
That happens, man. And, I even knew, that's probably why I had to wait 8-10 months to even release this podcast and sit on those episodes, because I knew some of the stuff I recorded back in March 2018, I'm no longer homies with those people on that level anymore. Or I no longer am around that community. And so here I am today recording where I'm at in life, and if the conversation comes up, they might get offended, they might get hurt. I might get a phone call or a text like, how dare you bring me up on the pod, without my consent. This podcast is strictly called Becoming Ramirez, because it really is how I've become who I am in front of you today. And 12 episodes from now, or 2 years from now, when we look back and we're like, dang, Desiree's hair was different, she was this. More than the physical, you got to remember who I was inside and where I was at in that journey. So, whether people are riding with you in shotgun, even if it's your partner in life, even if it's your spouse, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, whoever is your companion, even if they're riding shotgun with you, and then you got your crowd of your people who you assume at that time are riding in the back seat, remember that they're only going to get to where they're going because you're driving. If you allow yourself to be consumed in the activities that's going on in the car, you're going to lose focus of where you're going.
Right.
So you have to be able to be introverted, but still be extroverted.
I agree.
You have to be able to be willing to say, I'm willing to share, but I'm willing to hold back in these areas because I understand my boundaries. That took me a full year.
There you go.
A full year, Derrick, of therapy to
go.
really understand boundaries.
Yeah.
So in that boundaries, that middle again, that middle area of boundaries, it went dark. It got dark, bro. It got really dark, and it was very heavy on my marriage. And I realized I can't share with people anymore. I can't. And I did. I think I took like 4 months off of social media, and was like, whoever wants to be around, they know my address and they know my number. Yep. And if those two things aren't enough for them to call or roll through, I understand who's riding where now.
Right.
I understand.
I wanted to talk about relationships because I just got out of one, and I just want to say really quick. I know this is the aftermath, but I want to talk about the aftermath and how Ricardo helped you with that. I would say with me, like I overshared with my girlfriend. We were together for like 2 years, you know. So like, she feels like she knows me better than I know myself. That's a cliche term, and I hate that shit because at the end of the day, yeah, she's my girl, like, and we had a lot of things in common. She knows a lot about me, but at the end of the day, nobody goes through your mental processing. You know what I mean? And I think that's why. Am I getting off topic? But
I like where this is going.
I think that's why I felt like me sharing with her even was the detriment of my own self sometimes because she would never look past things that I've disclosed because she feels like that's the box of where you can go. You know what I mean? Like when I tell her I don't have feelings like that all the time. You know what I mean? Like I'm a dude, you know, I'm not really like the most into my feelings. I can talk about a bunch of shit for sure.
Right.
But like when I'm talking about real shit, like my emotions, shit.
You couldn't even say it. My emotions.
I'll do it.
Emotions. Which one?
I don't know. I need a drink. No, but for real.
Oh, yeah, you're out of water. We'll get some in a second.
No, but for real, you know, so that's why I think I've developed a barrier with sharing. And I think it's great that you believe that vulnerability is strength in sharing, but also sometimes vulnerability is strength in holding back sometimes and really looking at yourself, not in a bad way either. You know what I mean? But I agree. I think that may be like, see, now I'm getting
into that part of your life.
Yeah, that's it. I just felt like she was very, with me sharing it kind of developed, and that's just my own self. I think I got my own issues, obviously, but you know, that's why we broke up. Because you can't move forward with somebody who's going to hold you back to your past traumas sometimes. And that's what I respect about you guys' relationship, because you guys don't hold each other back. You guys grow with it and roll with it. You know, you ain't punching each other. You're rolling with them together, you know?
Yeah. First things first, you don't have to ever feel nervous to share your emotions. And the reason why I say that is because your lady, she's still someone else in your life, but no one's going to know you like your mama knows you. And,
okay.
And real talk, even my own husband, he knows me. Oh, yeah, we can do a trivia right now, and he'll get all of them. But if you go too far past into the childhood area, my husband can't answer those questions. You got to direct that to my mama. You know, my mom's going to be the one to say, I know my daughter. That's why parents could look at their child and go, something's up, or you're hiding something, or what are you really feeling? So even I'm about to have 8 years with Ricardo, from 18 to 26. And we're still getting to know each other, bro. We're still getting to know each other.
Right.
A ring does not mean the learning is done. A piece of paper does not mean that the education is over. Like, it's ongoing.
I agree. No disrespect, no harsh feelings. At the end of the day, everybody comes to your life for a reason.
Yeah.
And I believe, you know, a lot of people talk about finding the right person. But I believe there's a lot of right people along the way that showed you that they had to be the wrong person for you to keep finding that right.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%. Relationships, you can ask someone that's been together for 10, 22 years, and th'll say, I'm still learning him, or I'm still learning her, or I'm still learning my partner. to be all knowing and saying you just know them inside and out is foolish.
It's
The
a
only,
block.
yeah, the only person who could really say that is your mama and God himself. Because he plucked us out of the universe and decided to impregnate us into this specific woman through this specific act of lovemaking, and then allow us to meet fruition 9 months
I know
later.
that's another subject, but what's
Yeah.
what are you saying?
I'm just saying, like, if we're so uniquely divine like that, then it would be almost impossible to pin back to who really knows us.
Yeah.
The only one who's going to know us is the creator.
We're all his image
Right.
at the end of the day. So talking about your sexual assault, I know that's big.
Yeah, man.
And I think that's crazy to think of someone as strong as you as I've known you. Because don't get me wrong, you've always been strong. You've always been strong since I know you. But to see that you had a vulnerable moment, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But, the Me Too movement was a big thing, and it still is. And I think women, I think it's important for women to say that and, say those type of things. But let's just talk about, like, consent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I think that's a big gray area. Because a lot of women find it non-romantic for you to ask permission anymore to do things. You know what I mean? And I think, like, I've been drunk a couple times. I'm not saying, again, this might mess me up later, but I was just saying I've been drunk a couple times, and I had to hear a stop, or I don't want that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's where it's like, it's a gray area sometimes with that. And, I would never want to feel like I was a perpetrator of doing that to a woman, but, like, that's where you don't want to lose the romance. You don't want to lose your manhood and asking, like, oh, can I go here? Can I go here? Because it kind of loses the in the moment thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's why I want to ask you about, like, consent and, like, talking about that, because that's a big thing, moving forward
so good, Derrick.
through the movement. We got to understand, like, what are barriers that we need to set? Like, what are things that we can talk about? You know what I mean?
Man, that's so good, dude. For anyone listening who's taking offense to what Derrick's saying,
Very sorry.
I'm just going to be blunt. Go back to therapy. Because what Derrick is saying is not being aggressive or double meaning. What you just brought to the table is the question my husband has to ask me every night we decide to have intimacy together. Prior to my assault, we would get drunk and we would have fun nights, and then I'd wake up and go, what did we do? That does, and now, knowing the education I know now, and knowing, I know too much that sometimes I even have to, like, pop a pill to sleep because I know too much now about human trafficking and child pornography and sexual assault, and it's a lot, and I'm just like, I just need to take me some, what is that, melatonin, and go to sleep, because
take a Xan.
something like that. Take a hit, do something to relax. But prior to that, I mean, the education is gray. The consent, like you're mentioning, it's gray, man.
Yeah.
I mean, me and Ricardo are actually going to deep dive into that topic together through husband and wife, pre-marriage and after marriage, which also means dating before the assault and dating after the assault. And consent became the I don't even know, the exclamation point of every statement that we ever mentioned during sex. And that, there is nothing wrong with you asking that question. That's why I'm saying, if someone were to be offended by that or try to think differently of you, they need to go back to therapy, because they have a lot of penis envy. They have a lot of anger towards men. Yeah, I mean, that's really what it is, because you're not saying anything rude. So you don't have to be apologetic that you said that. I almost feel like you just liberated so many other men right now by saying that, because they're swiping left, swiping right, dating these girls, and then they get down to do the heat of the moment, and then she's not saying anything, and they still got to go home and go, well, the phone didn't ring and she didn't text me back. Did I assault her? I don't want to be that boy. I don't want to be that man, because that's not my intention. She didn't say nothing, so I thought it was all good. And then you put them into that category of, like...
And then next thing you know, she was feeling a different way. Consent is a big thing because it's a gray. It's still, like I said, it's just gray. And I don't mean to offend any women out there. I'm just saying that it's a double-edged sword, because at one point, you don't want to lose the romance. You don't want to lose the in the moment of everything. But then you also don't want to ask.
Yeah.
Why would I ask? You know what I mean? And you as a woman, like, what do you think about that? You know what I mean?
I I could speak for myself because if I say I'm speaking for all women, that's a whole other ball game.
Right.
But what I could say is speaking for myself with the type of personality I have, and for those who are friends of mine can be like, I agree with Des because we're all kind of the same gente, we're the same people. But asking consent for a male in a relationship, or even if you're in same-sex relationships, still asking, may I or do you mind? That can never go out of style because that's just manners.
Okay.
That's just manners. So I think a good way to do a play on words is if you're a male out there and you're listening and you're struggling with consent, ask yourself, how could I express manners right now in the art of lovemaking?
Right.
And then you just ask the question.
Sometimes you know, but sometimes you just might think you on that night. You know, that Henny might be in your system. And that is not an excuse for any type of sexual abuse. I want to put that out there right now. But I just want to say that, the conversation does need to be had about consent.
What I can say is knowing now that consent is welcomed by a female or any other partner who's in the middle about to have that act, having manners, I don't really see you doing anything that's going to be malicious with bad intent down the road if now you go and approach it, whether you're sober, you're high, or you're just completely buzzed, saying, may I do this with you, or may I that. If she's at a place where she's spiritually and sexually healing, that might not trigger her when you actually present it as with manners, asking a question. Me and Ricardo are actually going to really, really deep dive on that topic on our episode together, because I had a friend tell me, were you guys able to be intimate after your assault happened to you?
Oh, wow.
And man, I can't even go into that right here
Don't
because,
do it.
yeah, I can't even speak on that.
I'm going to stay tuned.
I can't speak on that without my husband speaking because he experienced it. Wow. He knew Desiree high school, knew Desiree college, knew Desiree fiance, and now Desiree's wife. And in all those seasons, he got to witness me sexually explore everything what I enjoyed, and then to have to address everything afterwards. And things are different because you sexually grow this way with one partner, and then something happens, and then you're like, well, I thought this was okay, and I thought you liked this, and you used to da-da-da-da-da, blah, 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 blah. And you're just like, yeah, not happening. And it's hard because he then, or she, whoever you're dating at the time, has to either adjust to the new changes, or they grow intolerant to it and they're just like, I don't want to be with you anymore because this used to be our thing and now it's not even a thing because you're so freaked out by it. It's heavy. So it's deep. So,
stay tuned.
Yeah, it's deep. Me and him, we're gonna talk about that.
I'm excited. Again, I appreciate you for your vulnerability and your being able to go there and talk and just be kind of deep with it.
Yeah. Because
nobody's deep. Everybody's so damn surface. And I'm from LA, so damn, I had to even start doing comedy so people will hear me.
Oh, dude, say that one more time.
I had to start doing comedy so people could hear me. I mean, at the end of the day, people would rather take real shit as a joke rather than hear the real shit as the real.
Dude, that right there. That was like a Dave Chappelle moment for you, seriously. Me and Ricardo, that's our favorite, Dave Chappelle. And he has a way of delivering such deep messages and really, really using his platform for so much good. Yeah. Because when you hear jokes, you're already unconsciously positioned to receive whatever comes out of the comic's mouth. Because you're there to have a good time. That's the best time to drop real shit. That's the best time.
That's what I'm doing.
But it's so surfaced in Los Angeles that you had to start talking on a mic to crack jokes to get people to hear you out openly.
Right.
That's how surfaced it is. And there are some people that are listening that don't even live in Los Angeles and are like, it's surfaced down the street.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's a fear in that for some folks too. Because of that scar, they associate their mind saying, oh, I'm damaged. I can't open up to anybody. I can't be intentional or deep or be raw and vulnerable with these people because my own family disowned me or turned me away, or my own partner of 7 years, or my church. Oh, come on. Like people go there. They go to that place. I've been in that place. And some days I get revisited back to that place. And it's an icky spot. I think we're kind of leaning into that turmoil question right now. You said with all the turmoil in the world, or with all the turmoil going on in life?
Okay, with all the turmoil you have going on inside of you, do you ever think that really ends? Because we've all had good days, we all had bad days. You know what I mean? And I think vulnerability in those bad days, you got to figure out. Wait a minute. What keeps bringing me back here?
Yeah.
How because I in a span of a 7-day week, I'd say I have about 2 bad days for sure, at least.
Boy, you are right, like the statistics. Everyone does.
Yeah.
To say you don't have no bad days, come on. Oh my gosh.
Who says that?
Yeah, come on.
Everybody living around, smiling every day like they just so happy.
It's not real.
It's not true. Real. That's why people, even comics,
yeah, they go through dark seasons.
And that's why I like comedy, because I want to couple comedy with my human communication degree and talk about issues behind the jokes.
Yeah.
Like, all jokes aside. The plug. No.
I hope that this conversation, with what we've shared and how many things we've kind of jumped around, but there's so much meat in this conversation, and folks are choosing to eat the appetizers when you got a full course to listen to.
Ooh.
It's just
and dessert.
And dessert. Come on. There's still so much to discuss, but I would actually just want to challenge the listeners, whoever's listening or watching right now. If this spiked any triggers, that, full disclosure, I apologize on my end. I apologize if that spiked anything for you. But for those who were enlightened by this conversation, I encourage and challenge you to have these conversations at your own table, at your own desk, in your own bedroom, with yourself first before you ever bring it to someone else. A lot of healing has to happen with you first. Like RuPaul, you can't love yourself. If you can't love yourself, how the hell are you going to love somebody else? If you can't heal within yourself, you're not going to be able to heal others, nor are their support and their friendship going to heal you, because when they get out the back seat, it's just you riding alone again.
Yep. And that image that you carry is what you're going to find, too. Because that's what you feel about yourself. I promise you're going to find somebody who feels the same way about themselves. You guys are going to get together. It's going to be a shit show.
But it is. Misery loves company. Yeah. And then real recognizes real. So when you find real people and you know that when I'm around them, I understand why this specific person is having good vibes with me. And own that. Don't discredit yourself, because you attract what you know you need.
Yep.
You really do.
Law of attraction.
Yeah, you really attract it. So if you happen to be in a situation where they're at the comedy show, and I don't know why I came through tonight, but I really loved you, man. I'd love to link with you outside of the tavern.
I had people who came and told me that they were coming to see me fail, pretty much.
Wow.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah, that's deep.
And they said, you actually surprised me. Because,
they weren't expecting
They weren't, you know what I mean? First show, everything like that. People went there to see me fail, more enticingly than wanting to see me succeed. Crazy. But it is what it is, and I'm going to keep going.
Yeah, because you own that. You own
Absolutely.
it. You have to own that. That's a gift that you have, and it's clear that you now understand the platform that you're able to deliver such deep messages to.
Thank you.
I just wanted to take some time and acknowledgement for those of you who did leave me a voice message on the pod. And here we go. Take a listen.
I loved listening to this podcast. You are so inspiring, and I'm so proud of you. I love the part where you were talking about if you have a passion, to just go for it and be prepared for failure, and be prepared to maybe not get there when you wanted to, but to just do it. I had a business that failed, and I always felt like, that was just something that I had to do, and to be able to experience launching a business. And now I have that confidence that, hey, I have opened a business before, and even though it wasn't a success, I have that in me, And so I just love listening to this podcast. Thank you so much for being vulnerable with me and everyone else. I look forward to listening to your future podcasts, and I love you, girl. XoXo.
Thank you so much, girl. That's from my girlfriend Morgan, and man, she's definitely got a story that's going to pierce hearts, and I can't wait for us to get vulnerable together on the show. And thank you, Morgan, for sharing that. The next voice message that came in from episode 1, called The Manifesto, was from my girl. Her name is Michaela. Here's the voice message she sent in today.
Des, I'm so proud of you. I just finished listening to the podcast, and girl, I cannot wait to hear what comes out of your mouth next time. I love your rambling. I love your structure. I love your not so structure. I don't know, girl, but I love it, and I'm so proud of you, and I can't wait to see what's of to come. You know, I can attest solely that your journey and your vulnerability has created a space for me to share my vulnerability and my journey with my sexual assault. And girl, I'm just so proud of you. I could cry. I love you, and I'm proud of you, and you're gonna do great, and I can't wait to hear what's next to come. You powerful woman, you.
That's my girlfriend Michaela, and as you can hear, it was even a sensitive topic for her to even be brave to say that she can attest to the experience of healing as well and growing into that new skin from an assault. Thank you, Michaela, and man, girl, I miss you. I can't wait to see you again soon. So thank you guys for tuning in to episode 2, The Aftermath, where we touched on episode number 1, the manifesto, and then we also got to listen to some voice messages from Michaela all the way over in Hawaii and Morgan right here from the Inland Empire, and for bringing on my boy Derrick Wilson.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man, thank you. He brought some really deep questions, and I'm so grateful for it. Just so grateful for the friendship and just you to be able to speak your piece here today. So, yeah, boy. Yeah.
That's right.